Alright, so talking about WebKit used by Google and Safari, begins with a background property. The linear gradient syntax for WebKit differs slightly from Firefox. WebKit browsers we use -WebKit-gradient, and we specify the type of gradient, whether it's linear, the direction of the linear gradient from center top to center bottom. Next, we specify the color stops for the linear gradient. Each color stop are two values. The first is the location of the stop, and the second is the color. You can use as many color stops as you like. So, if we go over to here, and we look at the code, looking at the WebKit, so we say it's linear, it's center top going to center bottom, and the color stop 15% for white. Next is 50% for light steel blue, and finally 75% for navy. And then the next one, of course, is for Mozilla, and then linear gradient is with the CSS standard. So at the top, which is the direction of the gradient, after the gradient line, we specify each color and color stop. And we see that there as well. A little simpler, top center. The next one is the standard CSS one, where we have the linear gradient. We include the values of the gradient, the direction of the gradient, followed by the color and the color stop. Horizontal, we create a rectangle with a horizontal left to right gradient. For WebKit, the direction is left top to right top, followed by the different colors we're going to use. For Mozilla, we specify the gradient left, followed by the different colors. Standard CSS begins with the direction left, indicating that the gradient changes from left to right, followed by the colors and color stops. The direction can also be specified in degrees, with 0 degrees straight up and positive progressing clockwise. So we see that as well. Here as well. The third rectangle will create a diagonal linear gradient. WebKit, the direction is left top to right bottom, followed by the colors. For Mozilla, the top left, followed by the colors and color stops. The standard CSS basically begins with the direction you're going in, indicating the gradient changes at 45-degree angle, because 135 plus 45 is 180. Yeah, so this is a standard that's still being finalized, so support is pretty sporadic. Your different vendor, I guess Microsoft does have a way of doing it. Opera and Opera Mobile, and the WebKit used by Google Chrome, Safari, and Safari on the iPhone and Android. So WebKit is the most popular. Prefixes are not available for every browser, for every property, and it's such a new standard, you kind of expect that. It simply will not do anything if it's not available. When you run the program in browsers that don't support gradients, the gradients will not appear, which is, I think, pretty much what we saw in IE when we looked at that. If we look at our gradients here, we see nothing. We don't get the word gradient, so it simply doesn't work. Generally, a good idea to try and include all of them as much as possible. Hopefully, once CSS is finalized, that will become unnecessary. You should just use the CSS standard. So we got some questions now. Let's see. Be familiar with the prefix free lets you use only unprefixed CSS properties everywhere. It works behind the scenes, and the current browser prefix to any CSS code only when it's used. No, I don't think I've used that. And there's a website for it. Alright, let's take a look at that website. A lot of this stuff is so, emerging that it's hard to say where these things are going. It's taking a little while to come up eventually. Always put the vendor ones before the non-prefix ones. Last version of the style that a given browser supports takes precedence, and the browser will use it. By listing the standard non-prefix last, the browser will use the standard version over any of the prefix ones. Gradients are similar to linear gradients, but the style changes gradually from an inner point, the start, to an outer point. In this example, radial gradient property has 3 values. The first is the position of the start of the radial gradient, in this case the center of the rectangle. Other possible values from include the top, bottom, left, and right. Second value is the start color, and the third is the end color. The resulting effect is a box with a yellow center that gradually changes to red in a circle around the starting position. In this case, notice that other than the vendor prefixes, syntax of the gradients is identical to WebKit browsers, Mozilla, and standard CSS Gradial. Alright, so that's going to be example 5. Alright, so this guy right here. That's kind of interesting. Almost looks like a rising or setting sun. In the background you see there as well the gradients, center. The names are different, but the actual arguments passed in are the same. Center, yellow, and red. And again, it looks like almost like a rising sun. The WebKit text stroke property is non-standard again for WebKit-based browsers. It allows you to add an outline around the text. 4 of the 7 browsers we use in this book are WebKit-based: Safari and Chrome on the desktop, and mobile browsers in iOS and Android. In 5.7, example 5.7, which we'll look at in a moment, we set the color of H1 to light cayenne. We had a WebKit text stroke with 2 colors, and we use the final font size of 500% here so you can see the outline better. And we'll look at this example, which is 6. Text stroke. Don't know what that would look like in probably won't look like much at all. But, it's interesting. A little different. Oh, there's this. Oh, I see it, and it just adds it automatically. That's interesting. No, I've not used this before. I should check it out, though. It's almost like a whatchamacallit, jQuery for CSS. So again, the H1 colors light cyan gives a 2-pixel black stroke, font size 500%. Looks like that's a black border there. So the color itself is light cyan, but the stroke, which looks like it's the border, is black, 2-pixel black. CSS3 allows you to add multiple background images to an element. The style begins by adding 2 background images, logo.pnp and ocean.pnp, which we'll see in a moment. Next, we specify each image's placement using property background position. And then we comment separate a list order of images in the background. The first value, bottom right, places the image logo.png in the bottom right corner, and the last value, 100% center, centers the entire second image in the context box. And that's going to be 5.8. Well, it's one image. That's kind of interesting what it does to it. Image top below and image top right. From transparent to white. We're using the WebKit, so it looks like we'll have to stick with Google for now. This is the below and then the right. So in this first case, it mirrors the image below it. In the second case, it basically mirrors it to the right. I haven't got to this example yet. Hold on for a second. Did I hit the wrong thing or something? Oh, okay. This is actually, 5.8. Why did I call it 7? Maybe these numbers are off somewhere. That's 7. Okay, so it looks like this has got 2 images. This is one image here. Logo in the ocean.png. Obviously this big one being the ocean, and this little one being the logo. And it just puts this text right over it. There's also some that was a little difficult to do. You had to create a second one. Yeah, I know, I had the wrong image. Yep, that was an image ahead of me. Yeah, I think I missed one of my examples. Let me see. Here I've got 5, which is really... Here I go from 4 to 5. That says 5. It says it's actually 6. So somehow I messed something up. Let's see. What did I do here? Oh, there is no 5. Okay. There simply is no example 5, so I should just change the numbering on it. There just is no example 5. Okay. Reflections. Something I knew didn't look right. What we were looking at before, the wrong one, which was example 9, was reflections. I was wondering why that looked strange. Okay, let's go back. Which is actually now here, and I'll fix these numbers a little bit later. So you can see the reflections there. Obviously, it looks like a true reflection. And that's something that you couldn't do previously either. You come in here, what's wrong source. Come on. And you've got the WebKit reflection below, 5 pixels. You go below, and you take linear, left top, left bottom, and it's going to go from transparent to white. And then the next one on the right does a similar thing, but it's going to put it to the right by 5 pixels. And again from transparent to white. And then we get something that looks like this. And you can see it's from transparent to white, so it's kind of fading out, basically. Okay. Yeah, the numbering is off. I'll fix that later. Sorry about that. All right. Any questions on these ones so far?